Taping.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. My name is Blake Tarnoff. I'm the chair of the Nassau County Libertarian Party, and I'm also running for Legislative District 11. This is Diane Madden. She's running for Town of Hempstead Supervisor. Gary Denoyan running for Town of North Hempstead Council. 6th District, and Howard Rabin running for Oyster Bay Council. We're here today in front of the Nassau County Legislative and Executive Building to respond to the recent allegations of impropriety by Mr. Novella and Mr. LaCaruba. Thank you. You know, I'd just like to say that it's unfortunate that these things happen. We like to think that our legislators are wise people who have the public's best interest in heart, but it turns out in case after case that there really tend to be no more virtuous or more wise than anybody in private life, in corporate life, or anywhere else. So, you know, libertarians, we feel we have an alternative to offer people. If government people, you know, that government people will have a lot of temptations, and we would like to empower individuals to be able to make their own lives better rather than having to depend on government to make their lives better. They're constantly trying to make the case that if you just give them more money and more power, they will make our lives better. But sadly, that just ends up being a temptation for them to make their own lives better. So we would like to make everybody's life better so that people can make their own lives better, and so that's where we are. We're for lowering taxes and removing government red tape and empowering individuals to help themselves. With that, I'd like to introduce Diane Madden. She'd like to say a few words.
Diane Madden, running for Town of Hempstead, Town Supervisor. It's great to be here today. I really feel so strongly that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure when it comes to all of the corruption that we're seeing on both sides of the aisle in the town of Hempstead. The solution to preventing corruption unfolding almost daily on both sides of the aisle would be to ensure that existing local laws are enforced. They are not. Can you just imagine the amount of corruption we don't know about? How do we get government to enforce their own laws when their own offices are riddled with conflicts? And they've developed ways to avoid all consequences. Recently, it was discovered that Hempstead's compliance officer made political contributions in violation of town compliance officer's law. The town board and supervisor were made notified about this prior to and on the September 3rd town board meeting. The town's compliance officer's responsibility is to evaluate contracts and to review the complaints from any fraudulent complaints from the public on waste, fraud, and abuse. How can residents trust a compliance officer that does not even comply with the laws that govern his own office? How can we trust a town board that looks the other way when they are notified of wrongdoing and unanimously appoint officials politically incapable of being unbiased? The evidence against Hempstead's town compliance officer is irrefutable. New York State Board of Elections showed this official made political contributions after he took office on February 1st, 2019, and the compliance officer's law clearly states that political contributions are strictly prohibited. We need to elect people who will not violate but will enforce the law and will keep residents informed and protected. As town supervisor, I pledge to enforce all town laws. I pledge to keep residents informed with and support good government that works for the people instead of against them. As town supervisor, I vow to hire only non-politically credible experts who will blow the whistle when needed on the current gatekeepers for both major parties, not a pool of patronage picks as we've seen in both political parties in Hempstead. There were signs that the compliance officer was not a person based on generous contributions to multiple committees who should have been even considered. The mindset of this person has got to prioritize people over party, and that's not what has happened. This is the next story to break about political corruption that could have been prevented. On a personal note, I was notified that animal abuse took place and caught on surveillance footage at the animal shelter in Hempstead on or about August 13th. To date, I have not been assured, despite my efforts, that the footage was sent to the district attorney. Whether it's the building department, parks, the shelter, any other department throughout Hempstead, nothing will stop corruption until the public sends in whistleblowers to lean over the shoulders of political gatekeepers, appointed positions, and henchmen. Elected officials from both major parties in Hempstead have already proven they serve party bosses for the common goal to maintain power, privilege, and jobs. My platform to bring in the People's Administration who will empower the public, knowing there's no one more highly capable or eager than the taxpayers and residents of Hempstead to wish to prevent the ongoing damaging corruption which has resulted in arrests, convictions, skyrocketing taxes, toxic water, potholes, vacant storefronts, overdevelopment, and never-ending schemes to defraud the public. What can you do today? Mark your calendars for November 5th. We need to give these both parties in Hempstead a timeout. We need to give real public proven advocates time to start reversing this corruption because it is ongoing. It's anyone's guess what story is going to break about what party tomorrow, maybe even today. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Diane. Gary, would you like to say a few words? Howard? Howard Rabin, running for Oyster Bay Common Council or Town Council.
I'm Howard Rabin, and I'm running for the Town Council in the town of Oyster Bay. Oyster Bay is another town that has been fraught with corruption. The prior supervisor of the town was indicted. His campaign manager, who was a big part of the wheels of the cogs in the wheel in the town of Oyster Bay, was recently charged and indicted. And this should not surprise anyone because throughout history, and history repeats itself over and over again, power has corrupted leaders. And we need people in government that are not from the same party. In the town of Oyster Bay, unfortunately now, every single person on the town council is a Republican. The man running against the current supervisor is a Republican. He's in town government, but he switched parties to run against as supervisor. Now, I'm not looking to say either of these men are not good men, because I believe that on the gut level they are good men. But power tends to corrupt, and if you're in power too long, it's going to be corrupted. I've never run for public office before. I'm now 61 years old. I've never sought the spotlight. But I am tired and disgusted with the corruption and with the patronage jobs that I see going on in the town. As a practicing attorney for 30 years, I have worked with the various building departments in the towns in both Nassau County and Suffolk County, and the attitude is, how much money can we get out of our people without raising taxes? They can do it through fines. They can make you apply for, if you sneeze or if you want to put in a window, you need a permit. You have to pay for that permit. The taxes here are too high to begin with. The services are not great, and we can do better. And I'm not saying I can change this town board by myself, but I will promise you that when elected, I will represent the people. I will let the people know what is going on, and the people can see firsthand that there will not be secrets unless they keep me out of those meetings or try to keep me out of those meetings, which I would likewise try to publicize. And I've heard this has been done in the past. The people that didn't agree with the town board, they refused to let them into meetings. So with that said, I urge you to support people that can watch out for your interests, that have no stake in the game and can't do things by themselves, that are forced to work with others and are willing to take a stand against the people in power for the benefit of the citizens that are voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. I would just like to say we are not professional politicians. We're not here to make careers out of this. As a Libertarian Party, we believe we have the solution to corruption. We're not necessarily more virtuous than anyone else, but we want to put a system in place where corruption cannot flourish. We have the answer to corruption. It's a systemic answer. We want to change the system. We want to take power and money away from the government and put it back in the hands of the individuals so that people can make their own lives better, that they can afford to live here and not be bled dry by the never ending needs and wants of government. So with that, I'd like to conclude this press conference. Thank you everybody for coming, and enjoy your day.